Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Politician's Diary, where we break down the biggest political stories in Kenya and beyond. And today is a critical day as the former Prime Minister of Kenya, that is Raila Odinga, battles for the African Union Commission chairperson position. Now, if Raila wins, what does this mean for Kenya? But also, if Raila loses, how will it impact President William Ruto's administration? Now guys, stick around as we dive deep into this political showdown. Now, a win for Raila Odinga to the AU will be historic, but beyond the celebration, here is what it truly means for Kenya and for him as a leader. Raila's transition from national to continental politics. Though Raila has already been there, he has served as the AU leader for infrastructure for a period of time. But if Raila wins this, it will be a huge transition for Raila from the national politics to continental politics. And this could signal a shift from Kenyan politics to African leadership. This will mean one of Kenya's biggest political figures might finally step away from local election battles, including the 2027 presidential race. And could this be the moment that reshapes Kenya's political future? You know, many of us tend to think that William Ruto is trying to get rid of Raila from the Kenyan politics. It might be true because I think Raila is the most feared person in Kenyan politics. He's a man who can go even after Ruto in the 2027 presidential election if he's still energetic. I think he is motivated by the Nigerian president that even at the old age he became a president. So if Raila decides that he still wants to become the president, he might decide to run in 2027. That is if he loses the AU chairmanship, and that is why President William Ruto tabled Raila's name as the candidate from Kenya for the AU chairmanship. The second thing is that if Raila wins, Kenya's diplomatic influence strengthens. Having a Kenyan at the help of AU will boost the country's diplomatic power. And you see, Raila's leadership could attract more opportunities for Kenyan professionals within the AU and elevate the country's voice in the African decision-making table. Because having a member of your country sit on that table is really important, as it helps in shaping a lot when it comes to matters to do with your country's representation in African Union matters. It will not only help strengthen our diplomatic relations with other countries, but also Raila being in that seat is one way of ensuring that Kenya's interests are given a top priority in the AU chairmanship. The other thing is political stability in Kenya. Now you see, Raila's departure from active local politics could create a more stable political environment with fewer power struggles at home. Now, could Ruto finally focus on his development agenda without a fierce opposition? We know Raila is the most fierce opposition leader in this country, is a rebel. And if Ruto wants to succeed in ruling this country, he needs to have such a person in his docket. And that's why some people are saying that William Ruto is banking on Raila's victory as an AU chairmanship so that Raila can guarantee Ruto's votes from the Nyanza or from the lakeside of this country. Although that is a story for another day, we should wait and see how things unfold. But if Raila wins, it's a guarantee, because I don't think if there is a very active political opposition in this country, if not Rigathi Gachagua right now. So Raila's victory ensures that there is political stability in this country, because najua Raila amekwanga msawa kuitisha maandamano. Kuna time Raila said people should boycott using Safaricom, using what, and people boycotted. So obviously his influence is really huge when it comes to this country's political matters, and having him go into AU is one way of ensuring that William Ruto remains strong come 2027. But now, what happens if Raila Odinga loses this seat to the Djibouti candidate, who is the strongest opponent in this country? Already there is a huge turnover of events, because the Madagascar candidate was endorsed, I think, by all francophone countries, and Raila is left with very few countries. Djibouti candidate also has so many countries, but also you never know, because kupigia kura inakuanga ni siri ya mtu. So although they might say oh, support the Madagascar candidate, this is the time for East Africa, so those countries may still decide to vote for Raila. So that is if they decide to vote for Raila. But what will happen if Raila Odinga loses this election this weekend to Djibouti or to the Madagascar candidate? Number one, a political comeback for Raila. If Raila loses, he might return strong in Kenyan politics, possibly preparing for another presidential run in 2027. This means Ruto could face an even tougher opposition. You see, the court declared Azimio as the majority coalition in the National Assembly. Moses Wetangula declared Kenya Kwanza as the majority coalition in the National Assembly. So if Raila loses this election, he will come back to demand that Azimio is the majority coalition, which will lead to a brawl between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. Remember that day Azimio walked out of parliament. So if Raila loses this election, it will mean that he's going to come back stronger in Kenyan politics. He might decide to team with the Rigathi Gachagua and go after Ruto, because zimu ilikujualo alikuli likakwisha. But now it is really wrong for Ruto to trust in Raila. I think the biggest thing Ruto can do is to ensure Raila wins that election. If he loses, it's gonna be tough for William Ruto. The second thing, shifting political alliance. You see, these laws could trigger major political realignments in this country. We could see new coalitions forming, and the question will be, will Raila and Ruto continue their rivalry, or will witness unexpected partnerships? If he loses, he'll come back to demand a lot from this government. If he loses that seat, that is, he'll demand a lot from this government. If he wins, it will be better for this government. But also, he might decide to form an alliance with the Rigathi Gachagua and back up Kalonzo Musyoka for 2027, or even have he himself run for that seat. So the political alliance currently between ODM and Kenya Kwanza government might face a significant shift if Raila Odinga loses this seat today to either of the Djibouti or Madagascar candidate. Now, the last thing is the impact on Kenya's diplomatic reputation. You see, failing to secure the AUC chair might be seen as a blow to Kenya's diplomatic influence. Could this, and that's the question I'm asking, could this weaken Ruto standing at the continental stage? Because you see, this election is you convincing people from other nations to vote for your candidate. And if these people don't vote for your candidate, you might have a weak reputation when it comes to diplomatic affairs. So I think if Raila loses, this will impact greatly on Kenya's diplomatic reputation. But anyway, whether Raila wins or loses today's election, it's a turning point for Kenya. His victory could mark a new era in African leadership, while a loss could redefine Kenya's political landscape leading up to 2027. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, those are just my personal views. What do you think? Should Raila focus on AU leadership, or does Kenya still need him in active politics? Let me know in the comment section below. If you find this analysis insightful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more updates on Kenya's political scene.